Hi there, welcome to another video from the Vickers MG Collection and Research Association. As always, I hope you're watching this as one of our patrons and getting the preview of this video. If not, please do consider supporting us on Patreon, PayPal or buymeacoffee.com for all /VickersMG, where you'll be able to support us and make sure that we can do more of these videos and the association's sustainable during this period when we can't have visitors. You'll also be able to access a lot more archive material, and that's really important in this video because you might be looking, why am I about to learn about Bren guns on the Vickers channel? We've already done a couple of Bren gun videos because we do have those in the collection and they're a good comparator, people understand them. But in this case, you'd be wrong. You're not going to learn about the Bren gun, you're going to learn about the Vickers-Berthier, which was a competitor to the Bren. So if you are a member of our Patreon page, you'll be able to access all the Small Arms Committee minutes, the records that showed the competition between these two guns to replace the Lewis gun in British service. And the Vickers-Berthier lost out. It'd been in production for a good 20 years. In this video, we're going to look at the Mark III variant, which was the version that was adopted by the Indian Army. So although the Brens went to the British, the Indians weren't prepared to wait, and they adopted and produced the Vickers-Berthier. So we're going to take a really close good gun study video on this occasion. So we're going to talk about the different marks of Berthier and the different variants in another video later in the year. So make sure you subscribe to get notified of that. But in this video, we're going to look really closely at the Mark III variant. And we do have the Mark I Bren next to it because many of you will want to look at the comparisons between the two. And you know, these are about the same year of production, I believe, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. So we'll take the camera off the stand and take a closer look. So first things first, it looks a bit untidy because we've got the Berthier leaning to the left here and the Bren leaning to the right. The Bren, as you may know, will lean both ways to the left like that, or to the right, and it won't fall over. The Berthier, however, will only lean to the right and will fall over if you lean it to the left. So, you know, it makes sense to make sure that we're leaning them to the right hand side. And actually the other models of Berthier, which we will do gun study of videos detailed, don't lean at all. The Bipod doesn't support them. There is no stop. So, you know, it's really tricky. It's a magazine fed 30 round magazine, just like the Bren. And one of the interesting things, the magazine itself, just take that off, is quite different to the Bren magazine. We've got a standard Bren magazine over here, and you can see it's shorter and more compact. The magazine follower doesn't do that. It's not as long. The magazine, you know, that follower doesn't have the extension on the back there to aid the feed. But what that does mean is, and just show you this one. This is a, oh, can I get all three there? Yeah, I can. A converted Bren gun magazine. So it's actually had the rear taken off of it, cut off, welded, trimmed, to be able to use in the Berthier. So that's quite an interesting, and I understand quite a rare example as well. But they are all 303. You know, it's the same ammunition, and that was one of the requirements of that initial trial. But the Berthier was sold very widely and commercially, and is available in lots of different calibers. So the magazine itself has this extension on the follower that you can just see moving down there. There's no particular reason for that other than it enables the follower to stay in one place. It doesn't move forward, it won't move back, and it will always stay flat. So obviously a problem they solved on the Bren mags. They didn't need that. I don't think the ZB mags even come with anything similar, so it just stops that magazine follower getting twisted. So that's the VB mag, and fits in like so. But let's have a look at the gun in a bit more detail from the back, because if we lift up the rear sight there, you'll see Mark III GRI. So that is obviously George Regina, India, so the King's Crown there, and VB8160 is the serial number, you know, Vickers-Berthier 8160, and you can just see above the VB the deactivation stamp. This is one of our deactivated examples. We don't have a firing example of the Vickers-Berthier. If anybody knows of any in existence in the UK, we'd be interested to look at that. But what we do have is a number of features on this that are very similar to actually the medium machine gun. And one of which you may just have noticed. This rear sight with the plunger is very, very similar to the rear sight of the medium machine gun. It's quite remarkable. The tangent and everything that's there flips up. So we've got a small battle sight there, and we've got the rear sight that flips up like so, where then just gives us a standard sight picture that if we just turn that round, so we're looking at the back wall, the sight picture will be, as you'd expect almost on a Bren, and as you'd offset in the same way. That's all I wanted to show here. But yeah, that battle sight is set to 400 yards. So I'm going to put that back round. Let's say it's awkward. It flops about a lot because it doesn't rest to the right. Isn't very fixed. Many of the features are similar to the Bren, but what you have got on the Vickers-Berthier is side ejection rather than bottom ejection. So you've got a sliding cover there that does, let's take the mag off, that when you do cock the weapon, it does draw back the sliding cover as well. And you can just see the action inside there. All move back, but it allows for the piston rod to exist underneath the action as well. That doesn't need that hole in the piston rod that the Bren has, so that it the rounds will fall through, because obviously the Bren is bottom ejection. So yeah, it's interesting to see that they went for a side ejection design. I think that was just because it was the original design. What you'll also notice is the handle here does the same thing as the Bren, lifts up as a carry handle and down for when firing. It does, it is curved so it stays out of the way of the sight picture, but that's quite a positive action, whereas the Bren handle doesn't have that release clip. It just enables you to sort of lift it up straight away, or just put it back down there. You can obviously, on the Bren, you can secure it in that down position if you are using it from there, but this doesn't have that multi-use handle. It allows you to hold it like that if you are firing it from the hip, but it doesn't fold out or anything like the Bren handle. So there we go. What you will also see is there is a tripod mounting pin. Now the tripod is different to the Bren, however the Bren tripod could be used with this. There was an adapter in place, but what you'll notice about these tripod mounting pins is they're very similar to the Vickers medium machine gun again, so the Mark 1 or the Class C. They have this just sort of characteristic Vickers look about them, which is interesting. We then have a Bakelite release lever, so barrel release catch here has this Bakelite cover on it. Obviously we can't in this case because it is deactivated, but it swings up and disengages this bottom piece so that the barrel and everything can come off there. The piston and the gas check there is very similar. It doesn't, it needs a spanner, and you can see the sort of the tap there. It's part of the combination tool that's carried with it. And then the flash eliminator, well, it's not really a flash eliminator at all, but the muzzle brake perhaps is on the front here, quite a different design. So flash would obviously be a problem when firing the Vickers-Berthier. As I said, the Indians used these until they were largely re-equipped with Brens towards the latter part of the war. Let's just fold that down there so I can show you the magazine cover. So you have this flap that comes up, that folds in there. What I'm going to do is pull that back, push that down, that then so to change the magazine you do so, but when you put that back like that, it's secure, it doesn't come forward. If you want to allow that to flip up and flip forward, you do so. That's sprung on some of them, and then the magazine loads in the normal way, and the magazine release catch does allows you to change that like so as well. The sights are graduated up to 2,000 yards optimistically. It's interesting. We have another comparator is that we have this butt strap that pushes out here to secure on the butt, and it does that same job as what the early Bren butt straps do. So yeah, but it is sort of more integral to the gun. Now, what we'll do is we'll just look at this monopod for a minute. The Vickers-Berthier is sort of perhaps characteristic for the fact that it had a monopod. It was considered with the Bren, and actually they did trial these. So one of the Ordnance Board minutes that we've published in the last few months, memoranda does talk about trialing the Bren with a monopod, particularly for range work, but it wasn't necessary. The Berthier had a monopod issued all the time. We'll get the camera back on the stand and show you how to fit the monopod. So we'll turn this round in a moment, but you effectively just, the monopod fits into this small hole on the base of the butt there and goes up like so. Now there is a release catch on this side that we will have a look at in a moment, and if we can get these holes that are there lined up with that catch, it should all engage into place. What we might need to do is just extend the monopod a little bit, which we can do by twisting that. And you notice that it's a sort of double screw, one inside the other, so that you can, it starts to extend out both ways and you remain with that grip in the middle. This can fall backwards. This is the sling loop up here, and you can fire it like so. So it's remarkably well rested. You can either fire it like that or in that sort of traditional Bren stance there. And you see a little bit of both. Certainly once the Brens come in, you see it being fired in very sort of typical Bren fashion that had developed from the Lewis, so I suppose the Vickers-Berthier would be the same. You can see though, when I put that pressure on, that monopod does start to go down on its own. So you need to, that's not there necessarily to support you, to pull it into the butt. You still need to use this strap and fire it like that. Otherwise, you need to support it. The monopod isn't too functional, say, if you can start to push it back down. Clearly, if the base was on a surface other than a table, it wouldn't be spinning in the same way. So, interesting sort of shoulder strap arrangement there. Something to get caught on, definitely. Let's turn the gun around and we'll have a look at it from the other side before we start to look at the bipod. So you can see here that we've got this catch here. It's not engaging for some reason. It's probably just a little bit stiff, but you can see how it goes in when the monopod's in there. You get those holes lined, and it should, this bottom part should key into that. But on this occasion, the gun doesn't want to play. So be it. But you can certainly see how the principles of it operate in there. And you can see on this side, we've got these large kinds of check levers that are in place that allow you to pull it out and turn. Oh, not in this case. Push in, and it'll allow you to change, will it? Push in and turn. That's how that works. So on the other side, let's just show you that. On the other side, you can see there the check lever position. So we've got it in safe, push in, turn, rapid, push in, turn, and automatic. So we've got the semi-automatic, the rapid fire function in this as well. And you've got quite a positive thing. So it's a round position lever rather than the sort of switch that we'd be more familiar with on the Bren there. So we're currently in the semi-automatic, the rapid fire position. No indication on this side, you see, of what position you're in. Largely there is a flat on there, but so be it. So we've got the action cocked. We can just, we're currently in the automatic, so we can fire it forward. And you can see how that's come forward to cover off this ejection cover there, and nothing really to note about that. What else have we got on this side? Nothing. So let's take a look at the bipod and you'll start to see how that works. So very similar to the early Mark 1 Bren bipod. Hold it together like so, and we can fold that and it doesn't lock into place up into the body of the gun at all. Sorry. So it doesn't lock into place up there, but it does lock, thankfully. It does extend so individual legs extension like so, and we can have it raised, which then we can raise to how the monopod raises as well. And the feet are spiked so that it's slightly more suitable for different terrains and stuff like that. So yeah, but clearly spiked feet make no difference to anything on a flat hard surface. I think that's probably all I can show you on the outside of the gun. Let's have a look at how this disassembles. So as I said, this is a deactivated example, so we can't disassemble it all the way, but we can just show the basics of it and how it differs. We just have one pin to do there, and what that does is effectively comes out and starts to break the action. So the action, then the butt and trigger assembly all comes off, and these were sort of holding that in place. So we've got a buffer spring within the butt here that this recoil rod sits onto, and we can put that to one side. We can then withdraw the working parts, which then come out, and it will give me a chance to show you those. So the connecting rod has been ground off there as part of that process, and obviously the extractor and everything has come off there. But you can see the principles of light machine guns at the time were all very similar. We've got a piston connecting rod with then a floating breech block. So what you can see on here quite nicely is the RFI stampings for the rifle factory Ishapur that was producing these in India. And it's got slightly more complex mechanism for extraction than the Bren, possibly because of the side ejection, but otherwise very similar to the Bren breech block. So to reassemble it, we just stick it back in. You can see that RFI quite clearly there as well. It does go back in eventually. It's a little bit trickier. I'm certainly not as used to it as I am with the Bren. It doesn't quite want to go any other in the time. And one thing you just see there on the top is 8805, so a different serial number. What serial number is it? 8160, and Mark II, so the Mark II breech block on there. So that goes in, and you can see the ball piece at the back there that allows that connecting rod, the buffer connecting rod, to go back into it. That then folds forward. We need that cocking handle out of the way, and action move forward, and the clicks in there. Oh, and that pin, such fumbly this isn't, apologise for that. That pin goes back in, and we've got that secure again. We can close the side ejection cover, we can fold the handle back down, we can close that magazine cover as well. So there you go, that's just a brief look at the mechanisms. Let's take a closer look at some of the markings on it. So we've already looked at the serial number there, GRI Mark III, so that's King George the VI in our case, but George the Emperor of India at the time. So we've got a few RFI markings we've already shown. We've got a number of barrel markings up here, 7227, so barrel serial numbers, different markings around there, 4367, barrel number, deactivation stamp up there. What's interesting, we've got no VAC markings or anything like that. This clearly was a gun made in India. When we look at the earlier Berthiers, you'll see that they are quite widely stamped with VAC. You can see the RFI here. Now, one of the things that may be is that it's not compatible. Many of the parts probably aren't transferable across. You can see the inspector stamp SA over 112 there. We've got another stamp in here, RFI again, and then the deactivation stamp underneath that. We've got a 43 date up here. Can we move this? I don't think we can. No, we can't move that out of the way to see what that is. I can't really see that. It might just be head. It's crossed flags, actually. So we've got some different stamps in there. It's quite frustrating that won't come up, will it? Oh, yes, it will. Sorry, it's a pull and then push up out of the way. Come on. No, it doesn't want to go all the way. It will move to a little piece, but it won't move all the way up, possibly because the deactivation stops you taking the barrel off. But certainly you can just see different stumps up in there. So there's not much on it to give us any idea of its history. It's clearly a used weapon. There's lots of wear marks on it for quite a 1943 production, which is quite interesting. So they started putting the dates on, whereas obviously, as you probably well know, the Vickers machine guns don't have the dates. So, but the light machine gun, the Vickers-Berthier in this case, does. So I hope that's been interesting for you. We'll cover the Vickers-Berthier in general, rather than just a specific gun, at a later date and look at more of the comparisons. But certainly go ahead, join Patreon and look at the Small Arms Committee minutes, 1935, that sort of period. But the Vickers-Berthier actually existed in the 20s, so you can go back to see when Vickers acquired it and start to read about the history of the gun and the development. As always, thank you for watching. Any comments, if you've got a Vickers-Berthier, let us know. We'd be interested to know more about the guns that are out there, because there's a few in the UK, but not that many. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. Please support us on Patreon if you're able to, and let us know of anything you'd like to see in the future. I look forward to hearing from you.